I'm sorry, on Patreon, and I will be right back. Oh, I thought I was going to have to start it over for a second. Very good. Hi, guys. I'm just going to give everybody a couple of minutes to get here, a few seconds to get here. Hi. Hey. Happy New Year, guys. Happy New Year. Hey, everybody. I'm just giving everybody a couple seconds to get here. I'm just going to sit here and stare at you in a weird way until everybody arrives. So one of the reasons I wanted to do this today, do this tonight, was because when I was a kid, they used to say that anything you do on New Year's Day, on the first of the year, you will do for the rest of the year. So that's why you want to, that's why people would always make New Year's resolutions because, they start doing it on the first day in hopes that it'll carry all the way through the rest of the year. So, doing magic on New Year's Day, that's what we want to do for the rest of the year. So, that's what we're going to start off doing. Yeah. I did not know they say that in Russia. Hi, guys. Just give everybody a minute or so to get here before we start. I guess I can just talk whenever. Yep, Andrew, that's a good idea. Yoga. Doing any kind of exercise today is a good idea because you want to be physically fit for the rest of the year. So, I'm just going to talk for a second or so until everybody gets here, and then we're going to do some magic. One of the things I was thinking about today was how, I've talked about this a few times about how someone once told me, and this seems like a common sense thing, they told me if you want to be surrounded with fine, beautiful, meaningful, amazing things, then go wherever fine, beautiful, amazing things are. Uh, you know, I guess, to put it in context of what that really means, at one point I started doing magic every day. Every day I would do at least an hour of ritual work, and I would think, I want to be, in a beautiful world, a meaningful world, surrounded by things that inspired me and motivated me and all of that sort of stuff. And I was doing it every day, doing it for like an hour a day. And this was during a time when I was drinking. I would, I used to go to this one pub at least 3 days a week. And it was like my routine. I would go in and I would sit and I would drink 2 pints of cider every day, just to kill time, kill a couple hours. I would go, sit, drink a couple ciders. And it was this pub where, you know, you go there and it's almost empty and it's just like there's like four old men gathered around one end of the bar and the rest of the place is empty and they're talking about absolutely nothing. They're watching TV and if the news comes on, they're talking about that, or if a sporting event is on, they're talking about that, and whatever it was, it didn't amount to anything, right? And it was like it just hit me almost like a bomb going off. I thought, here you are doing all of this magic to be surrounded by beautiful things that inspire you, that motivate you, that, lift you up. Well, how do you think that's going to happen if you're sitting in this same crappy pub every single day? And that was the last day I ever went there. Never went back. And that was around the time that I started going to the Met every day. The reason I bring this up is because a lot of magic is about common sense. Even when we're talking about things like that, like your environment, that extends also to us. to ourselves, our behavior, to the way we live our lives, all of that sort of thing. You know, I'll give you an example. If you behave in a socially inept, obnoxious way, if you're, you know, just an ass, if you just randomly argue and fight with people on the internet, then those are the kind of people that you're going to find in your world, because those are the only kinds of people that will want to be around you. You know, you may be able to coast for a short while. You know, you may be able to, like, kind people, intelligent people, you know, people that you would actually want to be around. They may, you know, tolerate you, or they may even pity you, you know, allow you to be around out of pity, things like that. But you're never going to have like a genuine connection, because you are going to draw to you the kind of energy that you're putting out. So it's one of those things where if you want to make the world a better place, you can't do that unless you start by working on yourself, by making yourself a better person. And by better, I'm not talking about in like a moral way or any of that sort of stuff. I just mean whatever kind of people you want to be surrounded with, whatever kind of people you want to have in your life, then you have to become that kind of person. If you want to be surrounded by people who are wise, by people who are kind, by people who are generous, by people who are supportive, then that's exactly the kind of person you have to be. You know, you can't be an ass and expect to draw anything else to you. Okay, just rambling, giving everybody, yep, exactly. You are what you eat, Andrew. Exactly. And by eat, you know, we've talked about this before. We don't mean just, you know, what you physically consume. We mean pretty much everything that you take in, everything you listen to, everything you read, everything you watch. Uh, you are taking in the energy of all that sort of stuff. Yes, Esther, be the influencer rather than the influenced. Well, you know, and another thing also is, I guess in a way, you know, what we are supposed to be doing, so many people focus on other people, you know, focus on, you know, and it could be anything from people in church focusing on the people in church, or, you know, people in lodges focusing on the people in the lodges, whatever it is. And that is always going to lead to exactly what Vegas Vamp is saying: drama and gossip. If you keep your eyes on the path, if you keep your eyes on the work, you are going to find yourself being where you want to be 100 times quicker than if you're focusing on, you know, trying to get people around you to be what you want them to be, or do what you want them to do, or any of that sort of stuff. Okay, guys, so what I was thinking about, what I wanted to start doing with this new year, and you see the slight purple light here. We've got our purple globe. Yes, eye on the goal, and everything else takes care of itself. That is exactly right. So the reason I have this is because I wanted to talk to you guys. First, let me explain something. I was talking about this a little bit the other day, and I thought I would print some pictures just to, you know, be able to illustrate more of what I was trying to say. I was talking about the models of the universe, like that they used during Aristotle's time, and they look like this, or like this, You know, there's a bunch of different depictions. This is an older one. It's in Latin. You see all the planetary names are in Latin. You know, like here it says Jovis. Jove is Jupiter. You know, it's why people say by Jove. That's where that came from. But I was talking about how, you know, when I was in school, they used to tell us that during Columbus's time, during the time of Christopher Columbus, that people thought that the world was flat, and that if you sailed far enough off of it, if you sailed far enough, you would fall off the edge. They actually taught us that in school when I was growing up. And you realize when you get a little older, it takes about 5 minutes to figure out that that's not true. You know, they still, to this day, you can see textbooks from Christopher Columbus's time, Italian textbooks in museums that demonstrate that they know the world was round. They didn't know what all the continents were and they didn't know where everything was, but they knew the world was round. They've known that since ancient Sumer. Even the ancient Greeks knew that. Exactly, Mike. They knew the world was round all the way back until. Yeah, Andrew, you're right. There are still people that do think the world is flat. I heard of that just not too long ago, and it was one of those things where you're like, what? But what this is, you know, they used to say also when I was in school that people used to believe that the Earth was the center of the universe, and that all the planets and the sun and all that sort of stuff, all of that revolved around the Earth. And the thing is, I'm sure you probably had some people that believe that, just like now you've got some people that believe that the Earth is flat, whatever. But the what we would call initiates, you know, people who knew how this stuff worked, they did not believe that. What this was, what these are models of us. This is our consciousness, and this is also our aura. Yep, whenever you're reading like the book of Ezekiel, when it talks about Ezekiel seeing the wheels within wheels and, you know, the wheels covered with eyes, all that sort of thing, this is exactly what they're talking about. What these are different models of this. So the only difference is whenever you see this, these are just separate, whereas these are overlapping. You know, they drew these up, you know, one on top of the other instead of one surrounding the other. That's all this is. These are the exact same thing. So for example, when you're talking about Malkuth here, Malkuth, yep, exactly, Kelly, different maps of the same thing. Malkuth, that's your physical body. Just like the Earth in the center of these diagrams, that's your physical body. So you'll notice on these, for example, like I said, this one is in Latin, but you can still make it out. For example, you know, the Earth in the center, the first ring around the Earth, can you guys see that? It says Luna. Well, Luna is the moon. The moon is Yesod. Just like you go from Malkuth to Yesod. You go from Earth to Luna. That's it. Then from from the moon, you see the next one is Mercury. Right above the moon is Mercury. Well, right above Yesod, you go to Hod, which is Mercury. See, right above Mercury is Venus. If you can see it, Venus. So from Mercury, you go to Netzach, which is Venus. On my screen, I don't know if you guys can see that really well. Netzach and Venus is both green. This looks just like a little black, and I think it's just because my printer is doing something weird. You have to look close, but you can tell it's actually green. So you see from Venus, you go to Solus, the sun. From Netzach, you go to Tiphareth, which is also the sun. So that's what I mean. These are the exact same things. So if you look at this, what we're talking about here, this is the entire tree of life, is what this is. And then some. Okay, you see how you get all the way up to Saturn? Saturn is the last planet, the last planetary ring, right? You go from Jupiter to Saturn. You got Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Well, this ring here, after Saturn, that is the astrological. Whenever you're invoking the astrological angels, that's what that is. That is the zodiac. So you go from Saturn to the zodiac. So you see there's another ring outside the zodiac. Those are the deacons of the zodiac. You know, each zodiac sign can be split into 3 parts, and that's where you get the 3 angels, the deacons of the zodiac. That's what those are. Those are the deacons of the zodiac. There are 36. Then you go to here. You see there's another ring. One ring after the deacons of the zodiac. Exactly, Hillary. That's exactly right. Those are the 72 angels of the Shem operation. What they are, the angels of the Shem operation, or the reason I always call it the Shem operation is because it's a little difficult when you're saying the Shem HaMephorash over and over. What was I saying? Oh, so anyway, so that's the angels of the Shem HaMephorash. Once you get out here, now this is where once you're outside the circles. Now I'll tell you, these are not the only 2 maps. There are other maps, and this is one of the ways that you will be able to look back through history and find initiates. And I'll tell you one initiate who also drew these maps in a way that we still know today, Dante. You know, Dante's Inferno, Dante's Paradise. If you notice, he drew maps of heaven and hell that match these exactly. Well, in his maps of heaven, once you break through that last ring where the Shem angels are, the Shem operation angels, once you're out here, once you're out to the border, out here, this is what Dante called the Empyrean, the mind of God. He said once you pierce through that last veil, you are in the mind of God. So what you're doing whenever, the reason these are, what we're doing when we do these, what these maps are useful for, well, they're useful for a lot of things, but I'll tell you what I wanted to talk about and what we wanted to do magic for tonight. These maps are also maps of the initiation process. Whenever you go through the initiation process in like a real magical system, the grades that you pass through correspond to these spheres. The reason they correspond to these spheres is because you are, let me think, what was I saying? Going through these spheres. Let me just say this. You'll hear sometimes in magic about the sword and the serpent. Those are, when you're talking about the sword, oh yes, thank you, levels, yes. So the levels, for example, when you are initiated into the grade that corresponds to Yesod, then Yesod is the energy that you're supposed to be invoking every day. So what happens when you're, okay, when you take your first initiation, usually what happens in that grade, the grade that corresponds to Malkuth, you'll have people, and when you're talking about people who are adept level magicians, you're talking about people who are capable of drawing in, manipulating, and directing pretty immense amounts of energy. So if you're going through this initiation and say you have 6 people, 6 adepts, basically when you're going through this initiation, it's like they've all got you in their sights. They are all firing that energy. They are, all 6 of them would be bringing in as much Yesod energy as they possibly can and then shoving it into your aura. The reason you then have to do magic after that is because you have to give that energy a way to ground itself and express itself into your world, or else it's just pinging around in your aura. So, what you do is you work with the sphere that corresponds to the grade of the initiation that you're in. So Malkuth, for example, the bottom sphere, or Earth, whichever way you want to look at it, those are the four elemental archangels: earth, air, fire, and water, the four elements. The four elements are the energies that correspond to Malkuth. So for the Malkuth initiation, they would invoke earth, air, fire, and water and direct all that into you. You would then spend the next 9 months to a year every day working with those four energies. Either you're going to do the lesser invoking or the lesser banishing of the pentagram every single day. When you do the lesser invoking, what you do is consume the energy, almost like communion. You know, that's where the Catholic Church got the communion ceremony. You could do it for whenever they do, LBRP and LIRP. So, for example, when you do Malkuth, traditionally what you use to put the energy into, to consume it, is bread, a piece of bread, because bread is made of grain, and grain represents earth. So you would have a piece of bread on the altar, which, once again, this is why the Catholic Church uses the Eucharist. All that energy is directed into the bread, and then you eat it, and you spend a few minutes in the temple just sitting there and being quiet, stilling your mind, and just seeing, what images come to you, what feelings come to you. And it may not even be right then. You may see later down the road that energy manifests itself in some way. And I'll give you an example. A friend of mine who, when he went through the very first initiation for Malkuth, he said he went through the initiation, he went home, didn't think anything else about it for, a couple weeks or so. Over the next few weeks, he said he started to find himself doing things that he had never really done, never really put much thought into before. He said, like, he started going camping a lot. And he found himself wanting to be out, outdoors more. And then it was like suddenly one day something snapped into place, and he thought, oh my God, that's the initiation. That's that energy expressing itself through me. It's that, elemental energy. That's why it's changing my behavior. It's affecting what I'm doing. So from Malkuth, you go into Yesod. And hopefully you guys have been doing, working with the four elements for a while now. Doing the lesser invoking and the lesser banishing for a while. So what I thought we would start doing today, and the reason I brought up a while ago the sword and the serpent, what those are, the sword and the serpent. Yeah, oh good, Vegas Vamp says yes a few times a day. That's actually perfect. The more times a day you do it, the better. But what was I talking about? Oh, the sword and the serpent. The sword and the serpent. So what that's referring to when you hear the sword and the serpent, the sword is also sometimes called the lightning bolt. What it's referring to is the way that energy takes when it goes from Kether, like pure energy source, down through the tree of life. It zigzags down until it reaches Malkuth. Just follows down like a zigzag. That's the way things manifest in the physical world. They come down from the spiritual, from Kether, and they zigzag down through the tree like a lightning streak and manifest in Malkuth. The serpent, so a lot of times, I'll tell you why one of the reasons and what that's useful for. You can manifest anything. You can do any kind of energy work using, like we were talking about doing the middle pillar. you do the middle pillar, and then you push all of that energy either into a talisman or into a glass of water or into a piece of bread or into a candle, whatever it is, you put that energy in there to manifest something. Well, when you do the middle pillar, you're only using 5 energy centers. You're using these that run down through the center. So you only see 4 here. That's because we're also using one right here. Da'ath is what it's called. It's the one at your throat. So you're using those 5. That's 5 more that you're not using. When you can do the same thing you do when you do the middle pillar. You can do it with all 10 energy centers. So instead of just doing the ones that go down the center, you would have Kether here at your crown, and you would have Hakma and Banah on the sides of your head at your temples. You would have Hesed and Geburah at your shoulders. You would have Had and Netzach at your hips. So you would do it the same way you do when you're doing the middle pillar, only you're using all 10 energy centers. Then you could push all of that into something to manifest, the same way you would do when you were doing the middle pillar. The opposite of that is the serpent. What the serpent means is the path that we take as we move from the physical world back up through to divinity. So what we're doing is raising our consciousness here, and it winds up slowly. It goes from Yesod to Had to Netzach to Tiphareth to Geburah to Hesed, Banah, Hakma, Kether, swirling up like a serpent. So you do the lightning strike or the sword is more powerful for manifesting things. The serpent is more useful for ascending consciousness. Like when you're wanting to raise your consciousness up to Kether, that's when you use the serpent. Why was I talking about this? Where was I going with this? The serpent. So, the serpent. Yes. So the serpent also represents the path of initiation, because that's what we're doing. When you're in Malkuth, you are unconscious. You know, everybody thinks they're awake. Everybody thinks they're conscious. Nobody believes that they're unconscious. But you can only tell that you were unconscious once you do start to regain consciousness. That's what the serpent does. That also, the way the serpent moves up, that is what you're doing when you're doing initiatory work. You follow the path of the serpent. So what I wanted to do is, and the reason I have the purple light on, is because I thought we should. So whenever you're doing the initiatory work, you know, like I said, once you're initiated into the grade that corresponds to Yesod, you are supposed to work with the energy of Yesod for anywhere from 6 months to a year. So that's what I thought we could start doing, is working with the energy of Yesod, and you know, show exactly how we do that. So in order to do that, I drew this, and please excuse my drawing. It's not the greatest in the world, but I drew it just for illustrative purposes. When you're doing the initiatory work, you use hexagrams. So this is the hexagram of Yesod. You know, just like all of the pentagrams, when you're drawing the pentagrams, there are different pentagrams for different ways you draw the pentagram for each element. Like, for example, if you draw it this way, that's the earth pentagram. If you draw it this way, that's the fire pentagram. If you draw it from this way, I believe that's the air pentagram. So each point on the pentagram represents a different element. Same way with the hexagram. we start drawing from a different point on the hexagram to invoke each. That's supposed to be a moon in the middle. Doesn't it looks like a C or something? I don't know. It's supposed to be a half moon, a crescent moon. But for example, you see where the 1 is? That's how you start drawing. So the hexagrams are always drawn are drawn by making 2 triangles. So you would do, and you do this, and this is what I want you guys to do. This is the homework, okay? We're going to do something now, but this is the homework that I want you guys to do if you're really serious about this, if you really want to do this path of initiation. You know how you do when you're doing the lesser banishing or the lesser invoking of the pentagram? You draw, you do the pentagrams in all 4 directions. You've got the line around the room. You invoke the angels. Then you close the sphere above you. You close the sphere below you. Bring the light down. When you're doing these, you're going to do exactly the same ritual, only you're going to use this hexagram. Yes, Marilyn says you have to do these hexagrams to really grow. That's absolutely right. I don't think you can really complete this process without going through the hexagram rituals. But what you do, this one for example, the 1 starts here and the 2 starts here. So whenever you draw the hexagram of the moon, you would draw it like this and then like this. So you've drawn 2 triangles. You've drawn the one from the bottom. Let me see how it goes. Let's see, this and this. Yes, overlapping, overlaying. The next thing you do, exactly like you charge the pentagrams when you're doing the pentagram ritual, you inhale, fill the earth with light, thrust your fingers through the center of the hexagram, and you charge the hexagram with... That's what I was trying to figure out. Kelly says, I think you might be mirror from us, so which direction do you go first? So when I'm looking at it, what I do is, what I would be doing, you start, say, at about pelvis level, and you go up to your left shoulder first, over to your right shoulder, back down to your pelvis. The second pentagram, start at forehead level or a little above your head, go down to your right hip, over and back up to, yes, the light corresponds to the sphere that we're working with. Exactly. Yes, clockwise to invoke. So whenever you put your finger through the center of the hexagram, you are, you charge it always. All of them are charged with the word Ararita. A-R-A-R-I-T-A. Then you inhale again, and draw the moon in the center of the hexagram. And sometimes you can do this if you want to. I color in the moon. I move my hand just to color it all in purple. See a purple moon in the center of the hexagram. Inhale, hold, and then you charge the moon with the divine name associated with that particular sphere on the tree. So for example, with Yesod, it's Shaddai El Kai. So the first time, Ararita. Second time, Shaddai El Kai. What I would say, I see you guys talking about books where you can find this. 2 things. 2 books, you can actually find these in a lot of different books, but one of the 2 that I would suggest, first, this is the book I go over, I always talk about over and over and over. This is The Golden Dawn, Israel Regarde. They call it the black brick because you see how, this is the 7th edition. You see how thick it is, but whenever you open it up, you can see how to draw all of them. See, for example, there's the moon hexagrams. You've got the invoking and the banishing. There's Mercury. There's Jupiter. No, that's not Mercury. That's Venus. No, that's Mercury. That's Venus. So the moon, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Mars, the sun. Thing about this book is, yeah, it's not very easy to understand. The Black Brick book is not, when you're talking, I mean, you're talking about things in here. You've got knowledge lectures, you've got all kinds of stuff. And the thing about this book is, you see how thick this is? This was never meant to be a standalone book. Even this is basically Israel Regarde's notes that were supposed to accompany the lectures that he was listening to, the teachings he was being given. This is basically just like shorthand material that was supposed to go along with what he was being taught. So you were supposed to have someone explaining this stuff to you, even with this. But this is still, and this one also, this is one of those books that it's an investment, because, you know, this one right here, I've probably went through 3 copies of this in my life, wore them out. This book is probably, you know, to me it's a lot of money, because when I grew up, you know, I couldn't conceive of paying this much money for a book. This book is like $80, I think, anywhere from 50 to 80 bucks. But it's something that will last you for years and years and years. And honestly, I don't even read books on magic anymore. You know, there's no point in it, really. Once you get to the point where you can understand the material in here, then everything else is just kind of derivative of this. But the other thing, let me see, I think I have it up here. No, I must have taken it down. The other one, like, oh, that's a good idea. Cynthia says she found one. If you can check on like eBay or something like that, and they may have them on there as well. But the other book, if you don't want to get this one that's even easier to understand, is, yeah, that's what I do. Kate Casey says the Black Brick is pretty much for reference. That's what I use it for. I use it for reference. That way you don't have to, you know, memorize all of the hexagrams and stuff. You can just flip them open. But the other one is what's his name? Donald Michael Craig's Modern Magic. In that one, you get a lot of the exact same material, but he explains it in a way that's a lot easier to understand. And it also has the hexagram drawings, the pentagram drawings, all that sort of stuff. So is our magic as effective when we are flipping books open in the middle of rituals? Well, try it and see. It is for me. You know, I use it every day. Every single day. What I still do, even now, is when I'm doing retreats, when I'm doing like the hexagram ritual, because like when you're doing the hexagram of the sun, you got to draw all of these. Like for example, this page right here, these are the invoking hexagrams of the sun. You have to draw all of these, overlapping each other. You know, you don't want to have to memorize all that. So when I'm doing it, you know, when I'm walking around the room, I'm holding the book just like this. I've got the book in one hand and I've got a wand in the other, and I'm walking around the room, you know, looking at this as I'm going. That way you don't have to memorize all of it. But I still, when I'm doing like a retreat, I'll do the solar hexagrams 3 times a day. Morning, lunch, night. 3 times a day. But if you can memorize all of them, by all means, then memorize all of them. You know, that comes in useful, because then you don't need the book. You can be out anywhere doing it. But what I was wanting to do tonight, is to begin doing the invoking of Yesod. And if you guys have your glass of water, that's what I wanted you to have the glass of water for. Because instead of bread, water holds energy better than anything else in the world, with maybe the exception of quartz crystals. Water holds energy almost indefinitely. So wine is good too, but you know, you might not want to drink that every day. But I thought what we would do tonight, yeah, you can do it with tea, but what I would say with tea is maybe do some research and find out what tea has herbs or flowers that correspond to Yasod and use that kind of tea. But yeah, you can put the energy in anything. As a matter of fact, you should do it in anything you're drinking or anything you're eating. Kombucha, yeah, you can use that. Exactly. So what we're going to do is when you're charging something, when you're putting energy into it, malt liquor. No, Mike, do not use malt liquor. um, but whenever you remember, like I said a while ago, when you're doing the invoking, you do them all around the room. You do the same thing over anything that you're charging. Oh, it's Blue Lotus tea. That is actually really good to use for this. Yes. So, for example, whenever you're doing this, okay, you guys just want to do it instead of me explaining it. Ready to do it? The ratchet magician. So, what you do is if you're wanting to put the energy into something, you do it the exact same way. One of the ways that you do it the exact same way. And don't just do it like we're about to do it here. What I want you guys to do is whenever, like, start, here's what you should do your daily practice. Do the lesser invoking ritual of the pentagram, and then immediately go and do the hexagram ritual, the lunar hexagram ritual. Take all of that energy, put it into the water, and drink it. What we're going to do tonight, though, since and you know what I'm hoping, one of the things I want to do, and I'm sorry I got a little bit of a cold, you can hear me sniffling. What I want to be able to do one of the reasons I want to move into a place with a room where I can do magic is hopefully be able to maybe set up cameras in different parts of the room. I'll have to get somebody to help me with this because I have no idea how to do this sort of stuff, how to hook it up where it'll feed into the computer or any of that sort of thing. Um, but I want to be able to actually do the rituals around the room, so that so that we can do those too. You can see how I'm doing them. But what we will do now is I'm going to hold this up so that you can see it. Either memorize it or draw it, something so that you can see how we're doing it. The way you draw it. Yep, screen snap. That's a good idea. I always forget that sort of stuff. You can take a screen snap of it. And then what we're going to do, whenever you're doing this over the water, so for example, you don't have to do just this also. You could, for example, whenever you could bring energy into your Tipperest center, and whenever you exhale it down your arms, out your hands, and into the water, you can see it filled with purple light. See it filled with purple over and over. Inhale, push it out, fill it with purple light. Inhale, push it out, filled with purple light over and over. You could see the light at the top of the universe, see it turn purple, keep inhaling and seeing it glow brighter and brighter and brighter purple, and then exhale and bring it all down into the water. Whenever you get ready to close the ritual, and here's what we're going to do in just a second, all of the spheres on the tree also have numbers associated with them. So the number of Yasod is 9. Malkuth is 10. It's the 10th sphere. Kether is 1. Malkuth is 10. When we're going up, yep, exactly. Yasod is 9. So whenever we close our eyes and we start inhaling and filling the earth beneath our feet with light, we're going to do it 9 times because 9 is the color of Yasod. And then we're going to draw this hexagram over our glass of water. And I don't memorize these things, so I'm looking down at my cheat sheet, just like I have this right here. I'm going to inhale, fill the earth up with light, hold, exhale, the air goes out, but the energy stays in. We're going to do that 9 times. And then after the 9th time, we're going to draw the hexagram in gold light over the water. Inhale, charge it with the divine name Ara Rita. Then we're going to inhale again 9 times. And we're going to draw a moon, a little purple moon inside of the hexagram. Then we're going to inhale and charge the little moon inside the hexagram with Shaddai El Kai. And then we'll drink the water. And that's pretty much all there is to it. You want to do this. This is the homework that I want you guys to do. Do this every single day for the next 6 months. Barring, being sick or having to go somewhere. Yeah, you draw it just like this. I saw Chris asking, how do you draw the moon? Exactly like this. So you would draw it. And you don't have to, you don't have to color it in. I usually do. It's just a little thing that stuck in my head over the years. I just feel better about it for some reason. Okay, but are you guys ready to do it? Ready to start? You got this? Yes, exactly. You can either do the LBRP first, the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram to clear your space, and then this. Or you can also do the lesser invoking ritual of the pentagram, and then this, and then put all of that energy in here. Yep, specifically Yesod for the next 6 months. Exactly. Exactly. Okay, so you guys ready? I wish I could find something to sit my water on so that you can see it. Hold on. Let me see if this will work. And someone once said also, and this is something that I should point out. Someone once, you can technically advance through the grades faster. Yeah, chess altar. Yeah, use my chess set. You can advance through the grades quicker. Like, technically in the lower grades, like say Yesod, you can. I can't remember exactly how soon you can take the next initiation, but the way that it was explained to me is you don't want to rush this. You want to wring every ounce of experience and wisdom and information and knowledge and everything else that you possibly can out of every single grade. If you rush through just for the sake of saying, I'm this grade or I'm that grade, the only person you're really screwing is yourself. You're losing out on it. Yes, savor it. There is no finish line. Exactly. You want to get as much out of it as you possibly can. Okay. So everybody, you know how to draw the hexagram now? We got it? Everybody's got it? Ready to go? Yes, it's not the destination. There really is no destination. I mean, the destination is here, now. This is it. There's nowhere else to go. There's nothing else to do. This is where we're supposed to be. Okay. So, put your feet flat on the floor. Hopefully you've got your water in front of you. Yes. Okay. Close your eyes. Take a second to relax. Just relax your body. Now inhale and fill the earth with light beneath your feet. Hold. Exhale. The air goes out, but the energy stays in. Again, inhale and see it glow even brighter. Hold. Exhale. The air goes out. The energy stays in. Again, inhale, see it glow even brighter. Hold. Exhale. Exhale. The air goes out. The energy stays in. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Once more. Inhale and see the earth beneath your feet glow as bright as you can possibly make it glow. Hold. And now let the energy come back up through you, out your arm, and out your hand as you draw the hexagram of Yesod. Inhale and fill the earth with light beneath your feet. Stab your fingers through the center of the hexagram and vibrate And now we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to draw the moon in the center of the hexagram. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. 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 Once more. Inhale and see the light in the earth glow as bright as you can possibly make it glow. Hold. And then draw the purple moon inside the center of your hexagram. Now inhale and fill the earth with light beneath your feet. Stab your fingers through the center of the moon and then vibrate May the light protect, guide, illuminate, and bless us on our journey through life and on the path of high magic. Take your water. And drink it. What I usually do whenever I end rituals, whenever I'm doing big rituals in the day, traditionally what you would say when you start a ritual, there was always a thing where you would say, Hakus, Hakus, este bibeloi. It's Greek, and it basically means get out, get out. Magic is about to start. What you're doing is telling any spirits, any energy, anything in the area to depart. Whenever you end, you always say, I now declare this temple duly closed. Any spirits trapped herein by this ceremony may now depart and return to your own abodes, harming none as you do so. Take with you the blessings of So that's like a bookends, the opening and the closing. Hakus, Hakus, este bibeloi. And I now declare this temple duly closed. Any spirits trapped herein by this ceremony may now depart and return to your own abodes, harming none as you do so. Take with you the blessings of Yeshua. Yeshua is the original name of what they translated eventually into Jesus. You know, his name was not Jesus, but that's the Greek version. Just like, you know how when you see people write Merry Xmas, and people say, well, if you write Xmas, you're Xing Christ out of Christmas. The reason that came about, X is the first letter of the name Jesus, or the name Christ. X is in Greek how Christ begins. Can I write it out and put it on Patreon? Yes, I will do that. I'll write it out. Hakus, Hakus, este bibeloi, and the closing both. I will do both. Yes. And we did that in just under an hour. That's perfect. I didn't mean to ramble that long. I thought it was only going to take like half an hour. But one of the things that I want to try to do for the new year is I want to be on here more, you know, on like all different pledge levels. Like one night I want to do, you know, at the $5 pledge level, and the next night we'll pick up again at the $10, and then the next night at the $20, and just be on here consistently doing all of this work. So that's my goal, and that's my plan. So some of this we may do, you know, more than one time. You know, we may do this 2 or 3 times because we want to do this. You guys, we're supposed to be doing this for the next 6 months anyway. So sometimes we'll do it together. But another thing I want to do is we'll start doing the middle pillar ritual together. You know, the whole middle pillar. You know, we'll put it into water. We will circulate the energy through our aura, all of that sort of stuff. But I wanted to start this today, the first day of the year. Happy New Year's to everybody, so that we, you know, they say what you're doing today, you do for the rest of the year. So let's do magic for the rest of the year. Okay, guys, I am going to wrap this up. I hope you guys are having a good night so far, that you're not too hungover from last night's celebrations. If you were having them, excellent, guys, excellent. Very good. So also, if all goes according to plan, I will be moving in February, and I will be able to have a temple. Well, you know, it's going to take a while to put the whole thing together, but I will have a temple set up, and that's where I'll be talking to you from. It'll be a room that I only use for 2 things. One is doing magic, and 2 is talking to you guys. That's it. I will send, and that's where we'll be doing all our magic at, in the temple. Okay, guys, I love you. Thank you again for being with me. I've been doing this. A lot of you have been with me since the very beginning. What are we, creeping up on 4 years now of doing this? And it just keeps getting, you know, better and better all the time. Okay, guys, love you, and I'll talk to you in a day or so. Bye-bye.